Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Bosses Only, the video series where we look at just the bosses from a dungeon, because you're not stuck on trash, you're stuck on bosses! From the Horns of the Reach DLC, this is Falkreath Hold. Let's get started right away with boss number 1, Morag Bullblood. Tank, taunt her, taunt all the ads that are with her, get them all into a nice pile, especially taunt that bull, because his big heavy hit is more than capable of one-shotting anyone else in the group. It could even one-shot you if you're not blocking. Now the ads will go down pretty quickly and you can focus on the boss. She's a dual-wield melee boss, which means she's going to be right up on the tank, and all her other hits are going to be ranged. She will summon siege weapons down. If you see a big AoE on the floor telegraphing it, get out of the way. The big thing that she does, you're going to see it here, she'll summon a siege shield. Once that happens, get inside it, everybody, because outside of it, the ground is going to be getting bombarded by siege weapons that the boss is calling in. You just stay inside the siege shield with her, and it's tank and spank away until she dies, at which point you can loot your lockpicks and make your way to boss number 2, the Siege Mammoth, whose only goal in life is breaking down the city door. No one told him he could just turn the handle, it's unlocked. So tank taunt him, turn him around, and he's got a great big scrape along the floor attack that you basically just block through. And for the healer and damage dealers behind him, there's a lot of streaking flame circles to avoid, but that is pretty much all you're going to have to worry about. Just avoid all the fire and keep on shooting. It's the tank that's got to deal with the brunt of it with the tusk attack, and there's also a move where he'll get up on his back legs, and then he slams down onto the ground extra hard and sends out a fiery shockwave. Just block everybody when that happens. Other than that, it's straight up just tank and spank. There really isn't too much to worry about with this fight, and once he dies, you'll be able to loot all your wonderful rubbish, including lockpicks, manganese, and star metal, and then you can head through the door into the besieged city itself. Once you've fought your way to the center of town, you'll be facing boss number 3, Kernanon, or more specifically, his 3 little attendants. You'll have to deal with them first. Tank, taunt the melee bloke and the ice mage, and also taunt the archer over there so that he's shooting at you. The DPS can go over there and damage him, while you've got the other 2 stacked together and they can be taken down. When these guys die, they leave a little green circle at their feet. A player will have to step in it to absorb their soul, and then run to one of these 3 little green circles at the edges of the room. Once all 3 have been taken, the boss himself will come up out of the ground. Watch out for a big circle around your feet telegraphing an ice meteor on its way. Everybody spread out and block, because when these come down, it's a lot of damage, and if you're overlapping with another player, you're going to take the damage of both. Spread out. The big hit to watch for, the Clash of Bones, you can see him winding it up there. Tank, just dodge roll at the last second. If that hits you, you'll get knocked flying. You'll also want to avoid the ghosts going around while he's up, because if you touch those, you'll get knocked flying. At 50%, he'll go away, and his ads are back, but this time, they're a bit tougher. Pay special attention to the melee guy. He's now going to be doing a pyroclasm. You'll see a huge red AoE spread out from his feet and explode. Do not be in that explosion, because you'll have a fire dot on you that could very easily kill you. It'll just shred your health. Other than that, it's the same thing again. Get them killed. Take their souls to the little green circles at the edge of the room, and once all 3 have been placed, the boss will come back. Make sure that you do that quickly. If you take too long, ads will come back to life, they'll be enraged, and they'll be even harder to deal with. So get those souls to the edges as quick as you can. Again, the big ice meteor, everybody spread out and block, that way you're not sharing damage. And it's just tank and spank on the boss, avoid the Clash of Bones, and avoid the ghosts. Very dank. Loot your lockpicks and make your way to this door, which is going to take us into boss number 4. Deathlord Biafred Skjorlmore is actually a much simpler fight than it at first appears. A damage dealer or healer, it doesn't matter who, is going to need to go synergize at one of those urns to get this big glowy circle around them, which allows them to cleanse dead bodies by synergizing. You'll see a glowing light shaft heading up into the sky from any dead body, and there are going to be a lot of dead bodies in this fight. Once you've done that cleansing, the boss will get up out of his chair, and he'll summon a couple of archer ads to help him out. Tank, go taunt all that stuff, and then start chaining in any other ads that you see around the room. You want them all as close together as possible, because they are going to die insanely quick, and the last thing you want is dead bodies scattered all around the room. That's going to make it more difficult for this part. An AoE is going to appear under every player's feet and start slowly filling up. Someone in the group is going to want to go cleanse at one of those urns and then start synergizing to cleanse at every light shaft on a dead body in the room. Cleanse them all, because when that circle under your feet fills up, there's an explosion, and the strength of that explosion is determined by the number of dead bodies on the ground. The more dead bodies, the worse the explosion, so cleanse as many as you can before that explosion happens. Any more than 2 or 3 dead bodies in the room almost guarantees a group wipe, or possibly the tank will survive, but just make sure you're cleansing as many of those as possible, and then burn like crazy until he dies before he does it again. Then you can loot all your lockpicks and stuff, and make your way to the final boss, Dommy House the Bloody Horned. Let's activate the hard mode by blowing this horn. You'll notice that doing that destroys 2 of the 10 pillars that are around the room. This is bad because we're going to need those to protect us from an instant death one-shot mechanic. 8 should be enough though. So, the boss comes through the window, crushes the Jarl, and then he stands there celebrating how beefy he is. Tank, you'll need to go taunt him, and everybody else is going to want to get to the other side of the pillars, the inside, because the outside is shortly about to be on fire and no longer a place where you want to be. So during this, all you really need to do, Tank, keep him pointed away from the group. He's going to throw little projectiles at you, and after you've damaged him a bit, he's going to summon 4 different Atronachs. There's an ice one, an electric one, a flame one, and a stone one. Now the stone and flame Atronachs can be chained in, the ice and the electric ones cannot, but taunt them, they'll come to you, chain the 2 that can be chained in, get them all into a nice pile and beat them up. Once all the ads are dead, the boss will come back to life and start smacking the floor. Make sure that you get to the other side of the pillars, the outside for this, because he's going to shout momentarily. There it is. Everybody get behind the same pillar. When he shouts grovel, you need to all be behind the same pillar because the pillar will explode. And if you are not behind it, you will die. Any pillar that has a player behind it will explode. This is why it's important that you all get behind the same pillar. That way you've got plenty of time and plenty of pillars to hide behind. Again, the boss turns into stone, summons a bunch of ads. Another mechanic to look out for, Claws of Nirn. He will suck all 4 group members into himself and then drop them at his feet. He then summons a whole bunch of explosives all around. If you slowly back up, they'll explode one at a time and you won't be in them. Don't overlap with your group mates, don't stand on each other, just slowly back up and block, and each of those little circles will be placed in front of you and explode without any harm to anyone. Again, watch whether it's Ring of Fire and then you don't want to be on the outside, or whether he's lighting up the ground on the inside with Pyroclasm. That determines whether you want to be on the inside or the outside of the room. Never be in the wrong place or you'll die. Summons ads again, same thing again. Tank, just chain them all in, get them nice and tight, everybody kill them, and then everybody gather around a pillar again and wait for the shout. Remember, work as a team and all stand behind the same pillar. That way, when the pillar explodes, it's just the one pillar that you're losing and not multiple. That pillar mechanic happens at 70, 50, 30 and 10% of his health, and again at 5, depending on what mechanics are happening at the time. If he's doing Pyroclasm and then he suddenly stops and you've crossed one of those thresholds, there will be a shout. So just keep your eye on that, focus on burning him down, and you won't have too much trouble, and you can loot your rubbish. You keep coming back here, but you haven't liked, subscribed, and pressed the bell? How will you be notified when we have new videos? Do the thing. You can also follow Cat over on Twitter. It might be called X by the time you see this. Still not sure if that's a whole troll or not. And there's Instagram, of course. And you're here on YouTube, so why not have a look around and find some other videos you might like. And check out the stream at twitch.tv/Catatonia. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bosses Only.